What's up, everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Nathan Richards, and this is my show Reason With Me. And today I just wanted to start the episode off by asking a question to the black community, to the hood even more specifically, and that is, what makes us so different? What makes us diametrically opposed to each other? Sure, if you were doing your own podcast, you probably wouldn't have this Greek statue on a marble pedestal behind you. You probably wouldn't be wearing this shirt unless you're Rick Ross. But does that really make us that different? Is it this? Is it my pasty skin? Is that what makes us so different? Maybe to a simple-minded person. But I'm going to tell you right now that people like me and people like you have a lot more in common than we do with someone like Anderson Cooper or Don Lemon or anyone you see on TV and anyone you see in politics. And that's because we've been through it, right? We've been through the ringer. We didn't have it easy. We know what it means to struggle. We know what it means to survive on as little as possible. And this is just something that these people know nothing about. So, where do I want to go with this? I'll explain to you my position, and you'll just have to decide for yourself whether or not you can relate. As for me, I'm on the side of freedom. Freedom from government surveillance and oppression. The freedom to say what I want to say. The freedom to make my own medical decisions and not be forced into doing something I don't want to do by people I don't trust. And there's a lot of people on my side, and I'm not on the side of conservatives, okay? It just so happens that right now in this period of time, the Democrats are more powerful than they've probably ever been. And everything for them is just a power grab. They're just grabbing more and more power, right? But they're doing it by hustling people, right? If you lived in the hood and you were around some hood motherfuckers, right? I'm going to put an explicit language warning on this video. If you were around some hood motherfuckers, like I was my entire life, you know how to spot a hustler. You know how to spot a manipulator. You know how to identify someone as a shady character. And you know it's best for you if you stay away from them. Either that or you could get on their good side, but you know they're going to stab you in the back as soon as it just leads to them getting more power. So, I'm not a conservative. Technically, I'm more of a libertarian. But I really don't identify as in a certain political party. You can't put those chains on me. And there's a lot of you out there who don't even vote because you can't be put in those chains either. But I'm here to talk about how they're dividing us and how we need to come together and fight back. We got to fight back, dude. Because me and you, we have a lot more in common, right? I keep saying that, but it's true. And I know it's true. Because I didn't grow up in Beverly Hills, right? I grew up in Park Hill. I grew up around street gangs. And, you know, not everyone in the hood is in a gang. But it's an element. And whether I agree or disagree with a lot of things that gangs do, I understand why they do it. I understand where they're coming from, right? Some of it is necessary for survival. Because whether you want to be in a gang or not, there are other people in gangs who are coming to your neighborhood to try to stake their claim. Whether that be in the drug trade, whether that just be through violence, whatever, right? But why are y'all fighting with each other, right? Like, I understand why. I know why. But I'm saying we got to change, man. We got to change. You know, the reason why I'm not a conservative and the reason why I'm not a Democrat is because even both sides are pacifist Puritans, right? Well, not even pacifists. One side isn't very pacifist, and that's the left. They have no problem using violence to get their agenda across. But they still are purists, right? If you don't think a trans man should be in the locker room with your daughter, man, they'll go after you quicker than anything, right? Because you got to be a purist, right? You got to be a Puritan on their side. You got to agree with what their idea of pure is, and it's usually a bunch of political correct garbage and a bunch of weird stuff, right? But on the flip side of that, on the right, you know, you got to be a model citizen. You got to behave the way you're supposed to behave and all these things. And there's like no leeway there, right? Some conservative places, like even if you have tattoos or something or whatever, they don't like you. So I'm not either one. And a lot of you aren't either one either. It's just we're kind of like put in a position where we have to kind of like pick one side or the other. I'll tell you why I kind of lean conservative, and it's because the Democrats have too much power. We got to have a balance. Listen, in our politics, we got to have a balance. Because if one side gets too much power, they use that power against everybody. And that goes for both sides. Really, we're being fooled into thinking that there's only two choices, right? And we're being fooled to think about that way. We're being fooled to think in that way about everything. In our society, it's either black or white. What? They can't see the color. There's nothing in between. It's either Democrat or Republican. There's nothing in between. That's ridiculous. And they're using it to control us, to keep power over us, so they can do what they want. You know, conservatives say they want law and order. I mean, even Democrats kind of say that. But they don't want law and order. They want law and control over you, while they go do whatever they feel like doing, right? We've seen it. We've seen it. Politicians, billionaires, all these people that should be in jail never go to jail. Bureaucrats, law enforcement, all this stuff. Look, y'all might want to defund the police. I get it. I'm not a big police guy. I'm especially not a fan of cities having over half of their budget dedicated to the police force, because I just think that's unnecessary, right? It's just more tyranny. It's just more control over us. That's all it is. Law enforcement means they enforce laws. And who's writing those laws? Are you writing those laws? Am I writing those laws? No. So do we even agree with the laws that they write? Why? It's not like we get a chance to vote on the laws that get passed, right? If we did, half these laws wouldn't even get passed, because me and you, I don't think that we're just gonna willingly and knowingly vote our freedom away. Why would we do that, right? So the people, listen, I don't blame a lot of people in the hood or the black community for voting Democrat, because the Democrats are very good at what they do with their psychological operations. They're very good at manipulating people. They're very good at bending the truth. And they're very good at turning people against each other. They control the media. They control the schools. And this isn't an issue that's exclusive to liberal places. I moved from a very liberal place, Denver, Colorado, to a conservative city. And even in the city I live in now, the school board is controlled by Democrats. The principals at most of the schools are Democrats. And the news, the local news, talks from a left-leaning liberal viewpoint because they are owned by billionaires in New York City. Okay? These billionaires ain't doing anything for you. They want to control you. They want to control me. They don't want anybody who wants freedom, right? So let's talk about some of the things that we have in common. Do you like your guns? Yeah, we like our guns too. I don't personally own any guns, but I like the idea. I like the thought of a population that owns guns. Are you politically correct? I mean, have you stopped saying the word bitch? Have you stopped saying the word pussy? Have you stopped saying, I could probably get banned off of YouTube for saying half the words I want to say right now, but me and you both know you still say them. I still say them. We're not bowing down, right? Another thing that fucking we have in common, dude, is that you're not going to get on your knees for nobody, and neither am I. We're not going to bend over for anybody, and neither am I. And they want you to think that just because a lot of the people who are vocal in this country about loving freedom are white, that they're racist against you, they hate you. Look, I'll tell you this. One of the reasons why a lot of conservatives or libertarians or whatever don't support the Black Lives Matter campaign is because they can see that Democrats are just using it to piss black people off about white people, right? Look, what happened to George Floyd, I don't agree with. I think that cop was a piece of shit, man. I watched that video, didn't like it one bit. And anyone who's killed by cops that's innocent, I fucking hate it, man. And it doesn't matter if they're black or white or whatever, but the news and the schools would like you to think that people like me are racist because we don't support Black Lives Matter, which is so far from the truth, it's pathetic. Because I do believe that your life matters. Even if you're in the hood right now, you're a young man in the hood, and you're out there trying to survive or trying to make a living or even just trying to get some street cred, whatever the fuck you're doing, man, I get it. I understand, and I don't hate you for it. I do want to tell you that there's a better way. You have the fucking warrior spirit in you, brother, and so do I. That's one thing that the fucking liberals hate about you, and they hate it about me, is that we have the fucking warrior spirit in us. And we like a good fight. We ain't cowards. We're not fucking tech nerds. We're not fucking media nerds. We're warriors, bro. We're fighters. And, even some of the women, right? Some of our women, some of your women, we're fucking fighters, dude. And they hate that about us. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of you, and they're afraid of me. So why aren't we getting together, man? This is what I think. I think that people like me and people like you, on our own, individually, we have a lot of power. But together, we're unstoppable. Okay? In fact, I'm planning on creating a movement called the Hood Patriots. It just depends on how many people from the hood I can convince to see what I see. Because I see a lot of crazy shit. So, they want law and order, right? They don't want law and order. They want laws for them, which are basically no laws, and a lot of laws for us. They want a lot of control over us, and they don't want anybody to have control over them. And that kind of reminds me of this book that I read called Crime and Punishment. It's by Dostoevsky. Look, this is a dense book, and I'm not I wouldn't suggest this book to somebody who doesn't like to read very much, or who doesn't read very much, because it's dense, dude. It's thick. Can you see how small those words are? Can you see? And then this little book here is like 500 pages, right? So I don't suggest this book to people who don't read very much. Plus, there's a lot of Russian names. But it's a good book about how a lot of intellectuals think that they're above the law. And they go out and they push the boundaries, they push the limits, they go and do these things. And then you know what's sad, dude? In America, a lot of them get away with it. A lot of them get away with it. And it doesn't have anything to do with skin color. Because there's a lot of shady politicians and shady police officers and shady bureaucrats of all colors who are getting away with these things. This is class. This is all about class, and it has nothing to do with skin color. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's a class war. And the people who have the most money in our society, they know it's a class war. But they control the media, they control the schools, so they try to make it seem like we're in some kind of race war, and we're not, right? So I don't suggest that book to people who don't read very much, but this one I do. It is Animal Farm by George Orwell, and it's really short. It's really thin, and it kind of, basically hits on the same principles. Rules for thee, but not for me. Which is exactly how these people think. So now I want to talk about what makes us different, right? What makes us different. So there are some things. I'm white. You might be black. You might be Hispanic. Even though Hispanics are considered white. We might like different music. Look, I used to listen to a lot of fucking rap. I still listen to some rap. But I realized that what you put in your mind, it has a very powerful effect over what materializes in your life. So if you're constantly putting gangster rap or gangster movies or bad literature or bad media or whatever into your mind, it's going to materialize the things in your life that you're putting into your mind. So, I don't listen to it as much as I used to, but I still listen to it because there's still a part of me. It's that warrior spirit, right? It's that call of the wild in me that likes aggression, that likes the toughness. You know what I mean? So I still do it, but there's a lot of country out there that's the same way. In fact, I always say country music was the first gangster rap, because if you go back and listen to, like a song like David Allan Coe, "Living on the Run," or like Chris Ledoux, "Call of the Wild," or "Hooked on an 8-Second Ride," those songs, cowboys were tough, and they weren't going to back down, and they're still tough. And that's what that's what we have in common. Excuse me for a second. So we've touched on a lot of stuff, but here's one thing I want you to think about. Okay, I have this book here. It's called No Boundary, and it's by Ken Wilber. And this one is a hard read too, but I'm going to explain the premise of it to you, okay? And we'll kind of talk about how that fits into our discussion philosophically. So basically, essentially, the first boundary that we set in life, and the most powerful boundary that stays with us, is the me, not me boundary, right? So there's a boundary here between everything that's me and everything that's not me. And when we focus on the things that aren't me, it kind of radicalizes us. It kind of puts us, it just puts us into our own little bubble more and more, right? So me, I'm not black. Okay. I'm not I'm not a Christian conservative either. I'm not um I'm not a gangbanger anymore. I'm not a drug dealer, okay? But I'm not a police officer. I'm not all these things. And then so we're just creating more and more boundaries as we go. The older we get, we create more and more boundaries, right? And very rarely do we look at what we have in common with other people because I don't know. I don't know why we're built like that. But the number one goal is to break down as many of those boundaries as possible, or at least to focus on the things that break those boundaries, right? And so that's why I'm actually doing this show right now, is because I feel like I feel like the same people who claim they own the black community 200 years ago are the same people that claim they own the black community today. I don't want you to agree with me. I want you to just listen what I have to say and make up your own mind. I hope it makes sense to some of you. I hope that we can get past the little petty bullshit like I live in this neighborhood now and you live in that neighborhood. I'm white, you're black. I listen to country music now more than I listen to rap. Oh, but you guys, dude, check this out, bro. You should listen to that newest Babyface album. The name's kind of gay. Return of the Tender Lover. But fuck, man, that's a good album, right? To listen with your girl and shit. She'll love it. So I still listen to a lot of black musicians, white musicians. Why does it matter? The things that we're focusing on that make us different, I don't focus on them, but a lot of people do. They are irrelevant, dude. What's relevant is how we think about the world, how we perceive the world, what we feel inside, right? That drive for freedom, right? That drive to want to be independent. We want our own economies. We want our own business, right? Drug dealers want to be entrepreneurs, right? And there are different battlefields, bro. Like you could take your battle off of the street and take it into the political realm. Take it into the business realm. And you could still have that same fucking warrior spirit in you. But you could use it to create something beautiful and to create something good for yourself. And we are at a crossroads right now where if we don't unite, we're all fucked, right? We're all in the same leaking ship right now as we speak. And we got to plug that fucking hole together, okay? Otherwise, we're all going down, bro. I want to just take a look at a few articles real quick, kind of like on that note. I'm looking at them on my phone. I'm going to put them on a screenshot on the video, though. So the first one I want to look at is from the Chicago Tribune. Chicago speed cameras now ticket drivers going 6 miles per hour over. The new rules resulted in about 300,000 citations and $11 million in fines in the first 2 months. Okay? I'm going to link to this in the description. This is the kind of tyranny we're facing. And we're not just facing it. Look, Chicago. That's Chicago. Okay? That's there's a lot of black people in Chicago. There's a lot of black communities. It's affecting you. It's affecting us. And these are Democrats passing these laws, and conservatives, hey man, if they're passing those kind of laws too, we need to get rid of them too. Okay? But as of right now, it's mostly the Democrats who have sided with the technology side that are pushing these kind of like really oppressive, heavily heavily influenced by technology surveillance laws on us, okay? And here's another one from time.com. Buried in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, in-car breathalyzers. In-car breathalyzers. Meaning that they're going to require, this is that infrastructure bill that they're talking about passing right now. They're going to require people to have breathalyzers in their car, and if they fail the breathalyzer, their car isn't going to start. And they're doing this all for the name of public safety, right? These are just two driving ones, just two little car ones, right? There's a ton of laws that these motherfuckers are trying to pass every day that just take a little bit more freedom from us every single fucking day, man. But the thing about this one is, sure, we don't want people who are fucking trashed out there driving around, joyriding and shit. But what happens if you're sitting at home and you're having a couple drinks with your wife or your husband and they have a heart attack and you need to drive them to the hospital? Let's say you haven't even had that much to drink. The hospital's only a mile or two away, but it's an emergency and you need to get them there right away. And you go to your car, you go to start your car, and it won't fucking start, man, because you have a little bit of alcohol on your breath, right? What if your kid calls you? You're sitting at home just watching a movie, having a couple beers after work, and then your kid calls you and says, "Hey, I'm in trouble. There's some bad people around me. Can you come get me?" You want to fucking jump in your car right away and go get them. And what? Your car won't start now because you had a few drinks before this emergency popped up, right? I mean, these are crazy things to consider. You got to think about these kinds of things, right? Same with the speeding one. What if you're just trying to get your freaking someone you love to the hospital because they're bleeding out, right? So, and then it's only going to get worse from here because the technology is only going to get better and they're only going to find more ways to use it against us. Okay? You understand? So, here's one more. We're only going to look at one more article. This is on Yahoo News. Black people with low vaccination rates stand to be shut out disproportionately by mandates. Look, y'all might be okay with the news and the liberals saying, oh, it's only white conservatives that are opposing the vaccine. It's only white conservatives that oppose masks. It's only white conservatives that this, that, right? Because that takes the attention away from you. But we know damn good and well that most of y'all don't want the vaccine as much as a lot of people on the right don't want the vaccine. And that's just another thing we have in common, right? So why are we letting them separate us by a few insignificant things like the color of our skin or the places where we live? Or whatever. They're separating us by a few insignificant things that really we don't give a fuck about. Because I have black friends, you probably have at least one white friend, right? And it's probably someone like me who my whole life fucking everyone's telling me, yeah, but you ain't like most white people though, right? You're not the typical white boy, right? Y'all probably have at least one friend like that that's white, right? At least. So why are we letting them separate us over stupid little petty shit that we don't even give a fuck about? And why aren't we coming together to unite on the things that we do care about, like freedom? Brother, we want freedom, okay? And we don't want people dictating to us every little fucking thing that we got to do. So this is a plea from me to the black community to decide for yourselves, to think about this, what I just said, and decide for yourselves. Like, do you want to live in a society with no freedom? Or do you want to live in a society where you have autonomy over your thoughts, over your body, over your actions and behavior? What do you want? I know what I want. I know what we have in common. What do you want? What do you think we have in common? What else do you think makes us opposed to each other, right? So with that being said, I just want to thank you for watching the video. I wasn't really sure on how to approach this one because I know in my heart and in my mind that we're a lot alike, but I don't know if you could see that. So I hope I did a good job of convincing at least some of you to think about it. What do we have in common? You know, look at the right. Why is it that a lot of people in the black community agree with people on the right more than they do on the left, right? Because you're not college professors. You're not journalists. You're hardworking Americans. You're free Americans, just like us, just like we want to be, right? And I'm not conservative. Again, like I said, it's just this stupid dichotomy of power, the scales of power, you know? So I'm just kind of being forced into a position right now that I don't really want to be in. But I know why, right? I know why I am. And I did the same thing to George Bush when I thought him and the Republican Party had too much power. I voted for Obama. Okay? And then after 4 years of Obama, I thought the Democrats were getting too much power, and I voted for Gary Johnson, a libertarian. Because I'm like, oh shit, Republicans and Democrats have too much power over us. We need somebody in office who's not trying to have power over us, right? And that's who we need to elect to public office. If they say they want to pass one law, why should we vote for them? There's already tens of thousands of laws. We need to start voting for people who want to erase laws off the books, right? And I'm not talking about living in a lawless society. I'm talking about living in a free society. Of course, murder, rape, those things should still be illegal. But should it really be illegal to have a lemonade stand? Should it really be illegal to start your own business? Should it really be illegal to say what you want to say? Right? Freedom of speech. Should it really be illegal to, I don't know, not take a vaccine? Do people need to be punished for that? No, they don't. So anyways, okay, I'm going to end it now. I'm just rambling. So thank you for joining me. I really mean it. I hope that this video reaches people. That disagreed with me before they saw this video. I'm not looking for an echo chamber. I'm looking to reason with people, right? And have these conversations with people who don't necessarily agree with me. So please like and subscribe. Comment down below. Check out the merch store. And follow me on Gab, right? I'm going to put my Gab down below in the description. I'm all but banned off of Facebook. So I have to be forced onto Gab. And it's not a right-wing extremist fucking website. It's where people are going who can't fucking say what they want to say somewhere else. And that doesn't mean what they want to say is bad. That means that Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey don't agree with what we have to say. Okay, you understand? So follow me on Gab. I have a channel on Rumble too, in case they ever delete this one. And it's the same name, Reason With Me. And, thank you for joining me. Stay blessed. Think about what I had to say. And just take care of yourselves and take care of each other. See you next time.